Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. Did you ever have one of those days you just want to put your hands around somebody's throat and choke them? I mean, just wah! They are frustrating you so hard you can hardly stand it. Whether it is your sibling or your friend, a coworker, your spouse, or even one of your children, I think that we have all had one of those days and one of those encounters. And heaven forbid, some of us have probably had a lot of those kinds of encounters because sometimes they happen. I've actually had a few of those lately and decided it might be a great topic to talk about. So, how do you bring intentional calm when all this chaos is going on and you really just want to hurt somebody? And I want to admit to you that is a much more difficult proposition than most of us want to admit to ourselves or address because really it doesn't bring out the best in us. When we're frustrated and angry and impatient, yeah, that's not our best self, and we'd probably rather just pass on and do better tomorrow. But sometimes you have to get through today, right here, when it's not going great. And what in the world are you supposed to do with that? Yeah, that's a really great question. Your kids are going to face this. There's no doubt about this. They will have a lot of frustration, whether with their friends or their teachers, their ball team, their coach, their teammates. They're going to have it. I remember one time when my grandson, who's a very calm person, came home and talked about a terrible, terrible, really bad, horrible day that he had because one of his friends was acting like a complete jerk and he didn't know why his friend needed to act like that. I talked to him, did anything go on or whatever? He said, no, he's just acting like a jerk today. That's probably the hardest one of all when you're dealing with someone who's usually your really good friend and they are kind and you have a great relationship. And then suddenly, right off the wall, they show up having a really bad day and they act like a jerk to you and they yell at you or they cuss you or they slap you. And you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And it's pretty hard to keep your calm. It is. You want to fight back, especially when you're a kid, or maybe even when you're a grown up and you're not a kid, you want to fight back. They might bring out the part of you that wants to fight at their level. Uh, I've experienced that recently in a few situations. And so, what in the world? No kidding. It's a fair thing to ask. Well, you want to get things into perspective as quickly as possible. So, if in fact that person is generally calm and generally nice, you can tell your child or tell yourself or remind your spouse everybody has bad days, which is a fact. Oh my goodness, some days, even if you are a normally optimistic, happy go lucky, reasonably cheerful person, you just wake up with the grumps one day for nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing made it happen. It's sunny. It's not rainy. It's a perfect 75 degrees. Who knows? And you just wake up grumpy. Every person experiences this. Take my word for this. So maybe they just woke up grumpy. Put it into perspective. Okay, most of the time this isn't how it is, but maybe something was really stressing them out. Maybe they woke up grumpy. Maybe they're just having a hard patch in life. Oftentimes we don't know everything that's going on in someone's world, even our really good friends, our coworkers, our spouse, our kids. There may be things they're not quite telling us that they're dealing with. Whether those are internal things, like something triggered them and made them remember a terrible episode from their childhood, and so it brought up a lot of that emotional turmoil for them, and they're handling it. They don't want to have this long, in depth conversation with you, but they're handling it and they're not acting like their regular self. Uh, Maybe there's a stressor in that their boss is putting pressure on them or one of their coworkers is putting pressure on them. They don't want to tell you all about this and bug you or make you worried, and they're handling it, but they're a little off center and not quite their regular self. There are a lot of things. And with kids, oh my word, even if you have a very great open communication relationship with your child, sometimes there are things that children don't know how to express, are reluctant to express, or are plain old trying to handle on their own. And I would literally say to you, after a kid is 10, 12, 14, depending on the kid, they're going to want to handle some things on their own. It's like, Mom, it's really not your business. Dad, Quit bugging me about this. I'm handling it. And as much as possible, you need to give them the opportunity to handle some things. You do need to be able to say to them, I'm right here. You know that. I'm here to support you. I'm here to just stand with you. So if you don't want to tell it to me, that's just fine. And you put your arm around their shoulder and you just let them know that you're there with them. A lot of times when people are having a difficult time, they will withdraw, not just emotionally, but physically. They want to go spend all their time in their room. You go to hug them, and normally this kid would be real huggy back, and they're kind of like, get off me kind of thing. You know something's going on. Whenever someone is in that kind of position, you need to stay calm. And yet it's really easy to get sucked into all that and feel frustrated yourself and get impatient with that yourself. You need to model that calmness. You need to be intentionally calm. You need to take a couple of good deep breaths, as I think you have heard if you've been watching me at all, but in through your nose. Hold it at least 10 seconds out through your mouth. Let the tension out of your body while you're letting that out. Do 3 good breaths. Really expand your rib cage. Hold on to that breath. I mean, a good 10 seconds. Hang on to it. Let all that oxygen go out deep into your extremities. And then let that breath go and relax. That was even helpful to me after the past few days. Yeah, so breathe. Remember in your mind, remind yourself, I am a mature person. I am a patient person. I am a person of grace. I can be calm, and I'm going to be. And be calm. You can acknowledge your emotions. Oh, yeah, I'm frustrated. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling upset. I'm impatient. I'm a little discombobulated right now. You can do that. But get a hold of it and be calm internally so that you can be calm externally. It doesn't mean you won't raise your voice. It doesn't mean you might speak with a little more strident tone or a little stronger voice. I get that. It's really okay. Do not be rude or insulting or nasty. That's not really necessary. And if you are, make sure that you apologize. But bring as much calm to the situation as you can. And you teach this to your child. So, literally, whatever it's about, I'll take a 3-year-old. They're getting dressed by themselves, and they manage to get the tag in the front. So, you're out in a public place, and you just now noticed it. Their shirt is on backwards, their buttons, weren't done up straight. Just all kinds of crazy things that can frustrate a kid. Their socks don't match. I'll never forget, I was standing in Walmart. This kid went by and he stopped dead in his tracks and he looked back at himself and he said to his mom, "Why didn't you tell me I looked like this?" And she said, "What?" I mean, this kid was all messed up. His socks didn't match. His shirt wasn't buttoned correctly. His fly was open. He was really ticked that his mom didn't tell him that he didn't really look presentable in a public place. And he was frustrated. I bet he was frustrated for quite a while because I heard him a couple aisles later still giving his mom a tough time. Yeah, lots of things will happen, and your kid can get frustrated, even a little kid, or, a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. And you need to tell them, in the broad scope of life, this probably isn't worth a level 9 reaction on a 10 scale, maybe a 3 or a 4. So you might want to calm down just a little bit. It's not that big of a thing. If they can learn to get a hold of their emotional state and develop some calmness with a 3 or a 4, in time, they're going to even be able to do it with a 9 or a 10. But it's a matter of learning. And so, if your child, especially, is a type A hyper, oh my goodness, everything is drama and everything is worthy of a 10 level reaction, you're going to have your work cut out for you. And yet, every single thing is a possibility of learning. And you can say to your child, okay, I understand you're really excited about this, or I get that you're really frustrated about this, or I can see you're pretty mad about this. And yet, You need to get a hold of yourself, and you need to have a calm enough demeanor that you're not taking it out on anyone else. You aren't acting all nasty. Even in your enthusiasm or your anger, you're not getting out of control with your physical self or your emotional self. Because sometimes when we are out of control, we can get to be really careless, and we might really hurt someone, or we might really do damage to a relationship or even to our physical surroundings that aren't necessary if we can get a hold of it and have calmness. For some kids, no joke, they've got to have something external as well to help them out with that. All right, so they might need you to rub their shoulders a minute. They might need something to physically help their body to relax. They might need calm music. If there is one thing I know with my kind of hyper kid, if he plays or she plays really rowdy music, it's just going to crank them up more. They've got to listen to something calming and relaxing. So watch what they're listening to, because music can really make an effect. It can calm them down or crank them up even more in an emotional state. So they might need that. They might just need a few minutes of absolute aloneness. Now, you're out in public somewhere, that's pretty hard to come by. But literally, I have left an entire shopping cart full of groceries and gone out of the parking lot because one of my sons needed it, and that's what had to happen. And in a car, you have a certain level of control you don't have in a store with hundreds of people. Give them time to settle down, go back in if possible. So you need to do things that allow them to get a hold of themselves. Sometimes they really do need to express it. I'm really angry. And they can say what they're angry about and how angry they really are. And they can use a stronger, harder voice and a louder voice. You need to allow them to do that so they can process the emotion and get to the place of being calm. They might really need to cry. Sometimes you cry when you're disappointed. Sometimes you cry when you're really, really angry. I mean, I can cry when I'm super angry. They just need to have a little bit of time of expression, not unkind expression, not unfair, unreasonable expression, but let them have some expression. Let me make this statement to you because it's really important. When a person is really upset, some people will get manipulative. Well, I would never do that if you didn't. And if you would, then if you do this and this and this, then I would never do this again. That's a bunch of baloney. That's not owning up to their own emotions, and they're not owning up to their own responses to situations and circumstances. No, no, no. That's not about you. It's about them. It's I'm not angry because you did blah 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 blah. I'm angry because I have anger in me. Now, I will admit, especially in close interpersonal relationships, sometimes I'm frustrated because you or in response to your blank. Granted, I might be entirely patient, even if you stand there and cuss me out and tell me what a jerk I am and I didn't do one thing, but you're just in a bad mood. That's not very likely. Most likely, that's going to get some kind of response going in me. And yet, I am responsible for how I act, regardless of my emotional state. And so that calmness isn't always full internal calm because, man alive, there might be some rocks in my river and my tide might be going and there might be some rolling thunder going on inside of my world. It's all true. I don't have to act like a jerk to you. And so I've got to learn how to get a hold of what's going on with me, and I have full responsibility for my reactions and my responses to what's happening between us. You explain all this to your child. You really, really, over time, intentionally help them get a hold of what it means to be calm and to have a calm heart and to have a calm life. The last thing I'm going to address with you is we do, in fact, hit or face certain situations or dilemmas that are going to disrupt our calm. Moving to a new job, moving to a new place, dealing with new people. Marriage, for pity's sake, can really interfere with people's calm. Having a new baby, going to school and having a new teacher in a new classroom full of different classmates than what you've had before. All of those things disrupt our calm situationally. Of course, they do. All of this we've never contended with before, and we're going to have some challenges. And it's okay. We need to admit to ourselves right up front, okay, this is going to be challenging. It's going to disrupt my calm for a while. But as much as possible, I'm going to stay calm in my heart. I'm going to stay calm in my demeanor. I am going to be okay. And you keep reminding yourself and you remind your child that they're going to be okay in new situations or difficult situations. And pretty soon, 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to be accustomed to this and it's going to be all right. You can handle this. And I'm going to be right here with you right through the challenging parts of this. I hope some of this or all of this has been helpful to you. I want you to intentionally live in a space of calm, and I want you to teach your child how to have calm, even in the midst of challenges and difficulties and frustrations. My challenge question for you today is, how calm am I in times of difficulty? And if the answer is not calm at all, what am I going to do to learn some calmness and to get a better hold of myself and the things that are going around me in really challenging times? It's a great skill. It's a challenging one to learn, and it's something that you can help your child to learn as well. I appreciate you being with me today. Please leave me a comment, a question, a suggestion, and I will look forward to seeing you soon again on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.